Hi everyone, this video is to go over iReady lesson equivalent ratios. Let's begin.
You have a job at the Smoothie Cafe. Your first order is for 3 banana peach smoothies. Put bananas and peaches in the blender to fill the order.
Okay, so one smoothie usually takes 3 bananas and 1 peach. We want to triple this recipe. So we want to do 3 bananas times 3, so it's going to give us 9 bananas. Okay, and 1 peach times 3, which is going to give us 3 peaches.
That's it. There are 9 bananas and 3 peaches in 3 smoothies. 3 to 1 and 9 to 3 are equivalent ratios, which means that they represent the same relationship between the quantities. Make half of a strawberry blueberry smoothie.
Okay, so now we want to cut this recipe in half. So anytime we cut something in half, we know that we're dividing it by 2. So if our normal recipe takes 2 strawberries, we're going to do 2 divided by 2, which is going to give us 1, so 1 strawberry. And we see that we have 4 blueberries, so we're going to cut it in half, divide by 2, and 4 divided by 2 will give us 2 blueberries.
Way to go! 2 to 4 and 1 to 2 are equivalent ratios. Make 4 blueberry almond smoothies.
Okay, so we want to multiply this recipe times 4. So we have 2 blueberries times 4, which will give us 8 blueberries. 8. And then we have 3 almonds multiplied by 4, which will give us 12 almonds. And it counts it for us right there at the bottom, so we know when to stop.
Good work. 2 to 3 and 8 to 12 are equivalent ratios.
Oatmeal is made by mixing oats with milk or water and is served warm, typically for breakfast. The Corner Cafe serves a bowl of oatmeal with 6 ounces of water and 4 ounces of oats. Describe the relationship between the amount of water and oats in the ratio 6 to 4.
Okay, so we need to think, what is the relationship of water to oats? So what's happening? For every how many ounces of water, there are 2 ounces of oats. And what this is going to be is for every, so what we see here, we're just going to simplify our ratio. So we're going to divide both pieces by 2. So for every 3 ounces of water, there are going to be 2 ounces of oats.
Describe the relationship between the ratios 6 to 4 and 3 to 2.
So these are going to be equivalent ratios because the relationship between the water and oats is the same.
Nice. The Corner Cafe makes a bowl of oatmeal using 6 ounces of water and 4 ounces of oats. The breakfast shop makes a bowl of oatmeal using double the amount of water and oats.
Okay,
Describe how to find the amount of water and oats that the breakfast shop uses.
To double an amount, we know means multiply by 2. So we're going to put in multiply by 2.
Make a diagram to show the amount of water and oats that the breakfast shop uses.
So we're going to do 6 times 2, which will give us 12. And then we're going to do 4 times 2, which will give us 8. Make sure your counters match, and then we can go on.
Oatmeal is thicker when made with less water or more oats. Oatmeal is thinner when made with more water or less oats. The chef at the breakfast shop decided his oatmeal was too thick. Which ratios of water to oats would make thinner oatmeal? Choose all that apply.
Okay, so we want thinner oatmeal, which means we need more water. So here we have a total of 12 water ounces. So 16 to 8 would be more water, so that would make our oatmeal thinner. Or we could use the same amount of water but less oats, so that would be 12 to 6.
Chili con queso, or chili with cheese, is a traditional Mexican dip. It is often made with green chili peppers or jalapenos and asadero cheese. One queso dip recipe calls for 4 pieces of cheese and 2 peppers. How does the amount of cheese in the recipe compare to the amount of peppers?
So again, we want to simplify our ratio over here. And we know to simplify, we would divide both the top and the bottom by 2, which would give us 2 to 1. So there are 2 pieces of cheese for every 1 pepper.
Well done. One queso dip recipe calls for 4 pieces of cheese and 2 peppers. Hector triples the recipe when he makes queso for his family.
Okay.
Describe how to find the amount of cheese and peppers in Hector's queso.
So to triple a recipe, we're going to multiply by 3. So we're going to type in multiply and the number 3. And now we're going to do that.
Make a diagram to show the amount of cheese and peppers in Hector's queso.
So 4 times 3 will give us 12. So we're going to move our cheese over to 12. And peppers is 2. 2 times 3 is going to be 6. So we move our peppers over to 6.
Good. How does the amount of cheese compare to the amount of peppers after Hector triples the recipe?
So if we look at our ratio over here, we still see that we have 12 to 6, which we know will simplify to 2 to 1. So it's still 2 pieces of cheese for every 1 pepper.
The number of cheese pieces is always double the number of peppers. So both queso dips will taste the same. At the community garden, Kiara uses a mixture of 10 cubic yards of soil and 5 cubic yards of compost. Cole needs 8 cubic yards of compost and uses the same ratio of soil to compost as Kiara. How many times greater is 10 cubic yards than 5 cubic yards? Complete the equation.
So we're starting here at 5 and we want to go up to 10. How do we get there? We're going to multiply by 2.
That's it.
So
Which
now
expression shows how to find the amount of soil Cole needs?
we have to do the same thing over here. So we're going to do 8 times 2 to give us our answer up here, which we know 8 times 2 will give us 16.
Complete the ratio to compare the amount of soil and compost.
So we said 16. 8 times 2 is 16. So we're going to type 16 in.
Cole needs 16 cubic yards of soil with 8 cubic yards of compost. Last spring, Macy bought 6 bags of soil. The soil fed her plants for 9 months. This spring, she bought 2 more bags of soil. Macy wants to know how many months she can feed her plants with 2 bags of soil. Complete the equation to show the relationship between 6 bags and 2 bags.
So we're going from 6 over to 2. We know that that's going to be a division problem, and we're doing 6 divided by 3 to get 2. We're going to do the same thing here.
How to find the number of months 2 bags of soil will last.
So we're going to do 9 divided by 3, and that's going to give us 3 months.
How many months can Macy feed her plants? Roberto is purchasing mulch for his aunt's garden. On Saturday, he bought 5 bags of mulch for $20. He needs to return to the garden center on Sunday to buy 1 more bag. How much does 1 bag of mulch cost?
Okay, so if we see he spent a total of 20 and we know that he bought 5 bags, we want to divide to see how much 1 bag costs. So we know that $20 divided by 5 bags would mean that 1 bag costs $4. We're going to type that in.
Great. Complete the statement.
Okay, so 5 times 4 would give us 20. 1 times 4 would give us 4, so the cost is 4 times the number of bags.
Complete the equation.
Okay, now we know 1 times 5 will give us 5, and 4 times 5 will give us 20. So 1 bag times 5 will give us the number of bags. And how much does
one bag of mulch cost?
$4, we already said.
Way to go!
Yay!
Andre is painting the recreation center as part of a volunteer project. The game room is 600 square feet, and Andre used 3 gallons of paint. The art room is 400 square feet. Andre wants to estimate how much paint he needs. How many gallons of paint does Andre need for the art room? Complete the ratio square.
Okay, so we need to think. To get from 600 down to 3, we're going to divide by what number? 6 divided by 3 is 2, and we can tack on our 0. So this is going to be dividing by 200. So 400 divided by 200 will give us 2.
Andre needs 2 gallons of paint for the art room. Complete the equation to show the relationship between 600 square feet and 3 gallons of paint.
So we said we're dividing by 200. We're going to type that in.
Which expression shows how to find the amount of paint Andre needs for the art room?
So we're going to take 400, which is the square feet of the art room, and divide by 200 to make an equivalent ratio, which will give us an answer of 2. So he'll need 2 gallons of paint for the art room.
How many gallons of paint does Andre need for the art room? Andre needs 2 gallons of paint for the art room. Jade is mixing a shade of light blue paint. The directions call for 3 quarts of blue paint and 4 quarts of white paint. She pours 12 quarts of white paint into the bucket. How many quarts of blue paint does Jade need to add in order to get the same shade? Complete the ratio square.
So we're going from 4 over to 12. We know that 4 times 3 gives us 12. So she tripled her directions. So we need to do 3 times 3, which will give us 9.
Good! To get the same shade, Jade needs to add 9 quarts of blue paint to the bucket. Complete the equation to show the relationship between 4 quarts of paint and 12 quarts of paint.
So we said we multiplied 4 times 3 to get 12. So now we're going to do 3 times 3.
How to find the amount of blue paint Jade needs to add.
3 times 3 to get 9.
How many quarts of blue paint does Jade need to add in order to get the same shade? To get the same shade, Jade needs to add 9 quarts of blue paint to the bucket. The 5-gallon bucket of paint that Kenzie bought from the hardware store weighs 55 pounds. CJ is buying 1 gallon of paint. How many pounds does 1 gallon of paint weigh?
Okay.
Complete the ratio square.
So we're going to say 55. How do we get down to 5? We divide by 11. So that means that 1 gallon of paint is going to be 11 pounds.
1 gallon of paint weighs 11 pounds. Complete the equation to show the relationship between 5 gallons and 1 gallon.
So now to get from 5 down to 1, we're going to divide by 5.
Which expression shows how to find the weight of 1 gallon of paint?
So we're going to do 55, same thing, divided by 5 to get 11
Well
pounds.
done. How many pounds does 1 gallon of paint weigh? 1 gallon of paint weighs 11 pounds.
On cold days, Leah likes to make hot chocolate. She uses 8 tablespoons of cocoa and 2 tablespoons of sugar. How does the amount of cocoa Leah uses compare to the amount of sugar she uses? Choose a number to complete the statement.
So we're going to look at our total ratio, which is 8 to 2, and we're going to simplify it. So when we simplify, we're going to divide 8 by 2 and 2 by 2, which is going to give us 4 to 1. So we know that for every 4 tablespoons of cocoa, she uses 1 tablespoon of sugar.
What ratio is equivalent to 8 to 2?
So now we can
Complete
just
the statement.
type in what we said. So we're going to say 4 to 1.
On cold days, Leah likes to make hot chocolate. She uses 8 tablespoons of cocoa and 2 tablespoons of sugar. Leah doubles the recipe when her cousin visits. What is the ratio of tablespoons of cocoa to tablespoons of sugar that Leah uses when she doubles the recipe?
So another
Complete
way
the ratio.
to make an equivalent ratio instead of simplifying the ratio is to double it or triple it. As long as you're multiplying the numerator and the denominator or both pieces of your ratio by the same thing, you're going to get an equivalent ratio. So here we're doubling our recipe. So 8 times 2 is 16, and 2 times 2 is 4. So we're going to have 16 to 4 as our ratio.
How does the amount of cocoa compare to the amount of sugar after Leah doubles the recipe?
And again, if we simplify, 16 divided by 4 will be 4, which is still 4 to 1. So we're still good to go.
During Elijah's first basketball game, he made 15 baskets and missed 5. During his second game, he missed 1 basket. His shooting was just as accurate in his second game as in his first game.
Okay.
How many baskets did Elijah make during his second game?
So think, we're going from 5 down to 1. So 5 divided by 5 will equal 1. So here we want to do 15 divided by 5 to give us our answer here, which 15 divided by 5 will be 3 baskets.
The students in Mr. Murphy's class are participating in a recycling project. After 2 days, the class collected 20 plastic bottles. They collected the same number of bottles each day. How many bottles did Mr. Murphy's class collect in 5 days? Complete the ratio square.
In 2 days, they collected 20 bottles. So we know that that means if we simplify this ratio, 20 divided by 2 is 10. So they're collecting 10 bottles per day, which means after 5 days, they've collected 50 bottles.
Concrete is made by mixing together cement, sand, and water. Zahara mixed 5 quarts of dry ingredients and 2 quarts of water to make a batch of concrete. She ran out of the mixture before finishing her project, so she made another batch using 10 quarts of dry ingredients. How many quarts of water does Zahara need to add to keep the consistency the same? Complete the ratio square.
Okay, so dry ingredients right here, we see that we're doubling it. So 2 times 2 will give us 4.
On cold days, Nate likes to make hot chocolate. He uses 6 tablespoons of cocoa and 2 tablespoons of sugar. How does the amount of cocoa Nate uses compare to the amount of sugar he uses? Choose a number to complete the statement.
So if you look at our ratio, we have 6 tablespoons of cocoa and 2 tablespoons of sugar. So we're simplifying 6 to 2, which is going to be 3 to 1. So we know that for every 3 tablespoons of cocoa, Nate uses 1 tablespoon of sugar.
What ratio is equivalent to 6 to 2?
So
complete the statement.
let's use our simplified form of 3 to 1.
On cold days, Nate likes to make hot chocolate. He uses 6 tablespoons of cocoa and 2 tablespoons of sugar. Nate triples the recipe when his friends visit. What is the ratio of tablespoons of cocoa to tablespoons of sugar that Nate uses when he triples the recipe?
So
Complete the
triple
ratio.
means multiply by 3. So 6 times 3 will give us 18. And over here, 2 times 3 will give us 6. So we have 18 to 6.
How does the amount of cocoa compare to the amount of sugar after Nate triples the recipe? Complete the statement.
When we simplify 18 to 6, it will still reduce to 3 to 1. So we're still 3 tablespoons of cocoa to 1 tablespoon of sugar.
In a volleyball game, the player who is serving stands behind the boundary line and hits the ball over the net. If the ball hits the ground before it is touched, it is an ace. During Deja's first volleyball game, she served 12 times and had 3 aces. During her second game, she had 1 ace. Her serves were just as accurate in her first game as in her second game. How many times did Deja serve during her second game?
Okay, so if we look here, we're going from 3 down to 1. So we know we're dividing by 3. So we need to do 12 divided by 3, which will give us 4. So she served 4 times.
The students in Miss Campbell's class are participating in a recycling project. After 3 days, the class collected 24 cans. They collected the same number of cans each day. How many cans did Miss Campbell's class collect in 6 days? Complete the ratio square.
Okay, so there's a couple different ways we could solve this one here. We see that every day 24 divided by 3 will give us 8. So each day they're collecting 8 cans. So we know that 6 times 8 is 48. We could have also multiplied by 2 and gone this way and doubled it. But no matter what, we want 48 cans so that when we reduce our ratio, we have 8 to 1.
Concrete is made by mixing together cement, sand, and water. Paul mixed 5 quarts of dry ingredients and 2 quarts of water to make a batch of concrete. He ran out of the mixture before finishing his project, so he made another batch using 15 quarts of dry ingredients. How many quarts of water does Paul need to add to keep the consistency of the concrete the same? Complete the ratio square.
So we're going from batch 1 to batch 2. We see that to get from batch 1 to batch 2, we have to multiply by 3. So 2 times 3 will give us 6. And we're done with our quiz. All right, I hope you get all the answers correct. Good luck. Bye.